Peace Collective. Today we are talking about forgiveness, okay? Forgiveness of others before you move on to the next shift within your life. See, the person I'm talking to, you've been doing a lot of work. You've been doing a lot of shadow work, self reflection. And in this self reflection, we see how we've played parts in our own trauma, right? And even the relationships that have gone away. Now, I want to say here before I continue, okay, because I understand that this is a very heavy topic. It doesn't mean because you forgive someone that you automatically allow them to come back into your life. It is called discernment. If someone is operating in a particular type of energy, whether it's lack, whether it's hate, whether it's resentment, whether it's anger, whether it's hurt, okay, and they're seeing the olive branch that you are extending and they refuse to take it, that's up to them, okay? And the olive branch that you are extending doesn't mean that things go to the same way as they used to. It means you're crafting something new, a new relationship with them. And you're affording them an opportunity to build a relationship with the version of self that's healed, the version of self that's been doing the work. If they choose to tap into their light and also show up as a loving being within your life. So, I've had family issues, excuse me, because of the trauma that I've experienced and, just certain hurts, resentments, and things and angers that I was holding on to. And in this journey, I've been very reflective of self and I've healed a lot of these wounds. What Spirit was showing me was that if we truly have healed from these wounds, we don't walk away from those situations in anger. Even if, like, for us, we're walking away, it's like, okay, well, I'm not angry anymore. I left it, it is what it is. They're still under a false impression, okay, that the narrative in your mind hasn't changed, even though it's changed in spirit, right? And even in your mind, it's changed. How can this new shift begin if those that you don't have wonderful relationships with, those that you have erred against, still feel that you are on that same cycle? It's about clarifying this. And I want to sit here and say that this isn't something that you should jump to. This is something that you'll be okay. This is something that you'll know when your spirit is ready to engage with this aspect. Again, there is wisdom in using discernment. But if you not but if you but when you are, not if, when making this timeline jump, this shift that's taking place, in order for you to access what is good and what is rightfully yours, okay, there is a forgiveness of others and letting them know that you are forgiving them, that you apologize for the roles, you know. um and there's certain relationships that I don't want to talk about, but specifically, but I want to sit here and say that I've been, hurt by certain individuals in the family, and I realized that my hurt and my anger, because of how they reacted, right, or even how I reacted to certain situations, um derailed the course of our relationship. And it could have been different. Now, mind you, I was a child, okay? And so I didn't know better. But when you know better, you do better. Accountability. And in this journey, it is about accountability, it is about our growth. And in those actions and the perceptions that we've allowed people to take on because of the wounded aspect of self, this does shape the relationships. And you can't go back, and start the relationship, fresh, new, because what's done is done. But what you can do is extend that olive branch of forgiveness. And this frees you up that if they are still choosing to operate in pain and anger and hurt and resentment, okay, and whether it's strife, whether it's jealousy, whatever it may be, then you walk away knowing that you really left it at peace. You walk away knowing that you did everything that you could to rectify. Now, if someone is purely evil, okay, I would advise maybe just stay away from that and leave that to God. Because everyone's gonna have to clean up their mess, okay? I'm talking about, whether it's like sibling rivalry, whether it's like some jealousy, whether it was some resentment, based off of like actions of others. You'll know, what this applies to. You know, even mother wounds, father wounds. You know, if your parent did the best they could, but yet they still failed you, you know, because they had their own story, but it wasn't like they went with, you know, malicious intentions to actually hurt you. See, there's that difference. We have to be wise, you know, in this chapter of our lives, you know. But I did pull some cards because I'm, you know, working with Archangel Michael on this topic, what was shown to me. And this is, you know, before your, you know, your shift. You know, I feel like some of you who I have already shifted, but this is, as the shift has already taken place, you're feeling this calling in your heart to make sure that the shift that's taken place can't be tainted from energies of the past. And regardless of how they see you, they can't deny the truth of who you are now. Even if they want to deny it to themselves mentally, spiritually, they cannot. Okay. The very first card that came out was strength. And I feel like this is very fitting for this card to come out and be the card that shows up, because as we did have to find our strength in the forgiveness of others, right? And in finding our strength, that was the reflective aspect, that was a reflective, you know, stage that we went into, that we entered into. And in this reflective stage of self, we realized what was true, what was the light, and what wasn't. And we started to clear out the degradation. So the strength that's taking place in your life is actively helping and strengthening the bloodline, because you are now presenting different opportunities for them to act differently, engage differently with the world, see things from a different lens. From the person in the family that was considered the black sheep or that was wounded the most, because everyone has their traumas, everyone has their story, everyone has their pains. They see the transformation, and that transformation took nothing but a nothing short of a miracle, nothing short of the hand of God showing up in your life, and you are that reflective dynamic to the world. Okay, you're that reflective dynamic to your bloodline. Okay, and in that, despite your traumas, despite everything you've gone through, you're allowing yourself to bask in the sun. Okay, riding the horse into, or is it the horse or the unicorn? Oh, it's a horse. It looked like a unicorn. Maybe for some of y'all, it's the unicorn. But allowing yourself to bask in the energy of goodness for the first time, and you realize that there's things that you wanted to be forgiven for, and it felt very difficult, and now you're extending that forgiveness to others, right? You're helping lighten the load of the collective by doing what you do, and it starts with the bloodline. It starts with you. Okay. And I was having dreams. I'm like, you know, I was placed, you know, specifically where I'm at. And I was like, oh, going to the other side of the country. I was like, I don't know that I'm going through that. But I understood what the message was. It was that the energy that I'm in had to move also to the other side of the country. It had to, you know, essentially lighten the load of the burdens that they've experienced, allow them to feel lightness within themselves. Okay. And within that aspect, maybe they can see the reflective dynamic and start their own healing journey. Okay. You know, we can never heal for someone, but we can show them examples of what they would like to be. And the Two of Wands, I feel like this is speaking to the choice, okay, that we all have to face, because in this journey, it's been a very long and beautiful journey, okay? In some parts, a little treacherous, okay, to find myself, a little dangerous. But when you have the Four of Wands is looking at the higher roads, I feel like you're a person that you look at what's available in a situation, right? When spirit reveals something to you, okay, can I go the higher octave or am I going to go the lower octave? And you always choose the higher octave, okay? Because you are in this journey to truly better yourself, right? To be the embodiment of divinity, of the, you know, of the light of the creator expressing itself directly and uniquely through you. Okay. You want to shine your light, and it's so much that you can't contain it. Okay. And in this beautiful light that you can't contain, you understand the heaviness that others are operating out of. You understand what it's like to not be forgiven, you know? Well, I don't, I want to sit here and retract that statement. Not be forgiven. You understand the burdens of carrying the weight, of feeling like you won't be forgiven for your actions. But you receive that forgiveness from the Creator. You receive this beautiful love from the divine, and this is why you're so giddy and happy and just frolicking in a field of flowers, okay? And if you're not, you should be frolicking in a field of flowers. Now, with that being stated, in making the right choice, because you are now aligned with the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is where you have earned your abundance, your spiritual abundance, your spiritual wealth, what is about to be manifested in this reality for you. And you just keep adding to that abundance by always choosing the higher octave. Okay? And in this, you are going to be showing, right, that forgiveness of others, again, with discernment, is opening up doors for them to also tap into their vulnerability, and get in alignment with the Creator. We have the Knight of Pentacles. To me, this is serviceability, right? You are going and you are doing a service to them. And this whole message has been about doing a service for the bloodline. But you have to do a service for yourself first. And it doesn't mean that you stay in the beck and call of people who are choosing to be pariahs or, parasites. That is not the case. What you are doing is giving that olive branch extension, like I said in the beginning, where now you are showing them that they can also lighten the load. You are showing them that it is possible to be free of their burdens. You are showing them that it's possible to let go of traumas. You are showing them that it's possible, regardless of age, that you can grow, that you can flourish, that you can have a life that you desire. You are being that example, and you are bringing this to them through the aspect of humility, through the aspect of showing them, you know what? Hey, I've been on this healing journey. I don't believe that I'm better than anyone. I believe that I'm at a different point in time within my journey than other people. And you are where you are at, but guess what? You're being that shining example. And the overarching card is Ace of Pentacles. Okay, this is the divine handing you your abundance. This is the divine letting you know that you know what, you are gaining more in this process. You are gaining one. It's not even just about physical abundance, or even, well, I don't want to say spiritual abundance, because definitely it is about spiritual abundance, but that abundance is gaining access to self, gaining access to liberation and insights within a divine that's allowing you to create and to manifest the desires of your heart by following your heart. This is where now you are taking your place at the co-creation table with the divine. You are no longer allowing the world to dictate and write for you the script in which it would like you to play, the position it would like you to play. You are saying, no, I am blessed by the divine, and me and God work this together, and I am going to be sitting in the position that was always meant for me. Do you hear me? That is what is happening right now. This is a big collective shift that is happening. And in this collective shift, we are also offering forgiveness, and in this forgiveness we are offering assistance, and in this forgiveness that we are offering and extending to others by humbling ourselves, not humiliated. I don't know why that tried to come out cancel that statement. By humbling ourselves, now we are being an example to the light of the divine, okay, where a true abundance can flow, where we can create. And this is what's changing the collective. This is what's rising the collective consciousness. This is what you needing to forgive. You feeling the pull. I don't want to say needing. You feeling the pull to forgive and even ask for forgiveness of them in their due timing. Because it's not in your timing. Just because you are ready doesn't mean that they may be ready to forgive you for how you acted out in your trauma and in your pain and in your hurt. Okay? We have to sit with that accountability. And when you tell them, take your time, it's in your time. You leave the door open for possibilities of a new relationship of growth and transformation to take place. This is you planting the seeds in their soil. Now it's for them to water that soil. So y'all, this is a beautiful message that's been brought to you by me and the divine Archangel Michael. Thank you for the assistance. And y'all, just take care from me and spirit.